So first off, you want to have your clips ready. For me, I have these RE9 Leon clips. As you'll see, I have some beats marked as yellow and some as white. The yellow ones are middle beats, so to say, so they're not the main ones. And the whites are the main beats. I'll give you guys a listen. So the yellow beats are actually going to be where you want the pop-in to happen, right? So if you want to go from the first clip to the second clip, this yellow beat is where it's going to happen. Now, in order to do that, we need to copy the second clip, like that. Control V, Control C, Control V, and just place it like so. Add time, freeze frame, and then we can go ahead and pre-comp this. Now, since there's only one yellow beat, as compared to this one with two, for example, we only need one pop-up, right? So you gotta think about what is the main piece, what do I want to pop out. For this example, I will probably just use the pen tool to mask the suit. You can use anything really, you can use Rotobrush or Mocha Pro. I'll give you guys an example of that in the next one. Next clip I mean. But for this one I'm just gonna use the pen tool. Alright, here we go. Now it's a bit rough, but it's just for tutorial purposes. And then what I like to do is go into masks here. Mask, and set the mask expansion to -2. And the mask feather to 5, just to cover up any imperfections around the edges. So now that we have that one done, we can just make sure that the popped out bit isn't covering any of the second clip, like so. And then we can move on to the next one. So for the next clip, of course we want to use the one where Leon is running on the street. And we can just copy this one again and place it like so. Now, since there's two beats here, we're really gotta think more about how we're gonna structure this. For me, personally, just based on how he is right now, and how the final product may look like, this comes down to experience, I will opt for a fairly simple pop-in transition here with Mocha Pro. So I will do the same time, freeze frame, and then pre-compose. Then I'll add Mocha Pro. Just go straight in. Alright, if you haven't used Mocha Pro before, I'll give you a quick rundown of how I have it. So yours won't look like this, but if you go into Workspace, you can change it from, I believe it is Essentials, to Classic. And this will give you the same UI that I have. Now you just click on this, the Create New Mask ML layer. And try to click on where Leon is. And just give it a second. There we go. And then you'll see that it kind of creates a mask of where he is. And you're going to have to make some manual adjustments to this. For example, here I have to move this. His hand isn't perfect here. There's a lot of nodes, but you get the idea. So I'll get back to you when this is done. Now that you have your nodes ready, or mask, I'm not really sure what this is called actually. You can just go to Matte here, and then drag Generate Object Matte. And then you just press the Render Forwards button. And it will create a mask for you. There we go. Then you can use exit, save. When that is done, you notice that it's not visible yet, so you click apply matte, and then dilate -2 and feather 5. And then set it from fast to high quality. For this one, the plan was split it in two. There's a bunch of ways to do this, but I'll show you a fairly simple one. So you can use pre-compose this again, go to mask and rectangle tool. And then I will just go to edge the middle. You see how his body doesn't cover the entire image. Like so. That gives us the first mask. Now, simple way to do this second one is just to copy the layer again. Move to the second point here. Then open this up, go to masks, and then invert this one. That will create this effect. Boom, boom. There we go. Alright. Then we can just adjust these to the time. Like so. That's what we got so far. Now for the third and last clip, we're going to be doing the same thing, but with Rotobrush instead. So just time, freeze frame, and then pre-compose like that. Now we can go up here and click on Rotobrush, and double click the layer. And now you can hold left click to do these like brush strokes, like so. And you can hold down left alt and drag to create these red ones to remove. And the goal here is just to make sure that Rotobrush understands that Leon is the subject. Now that you cut him out, you can just press space. And that will just run it through. Since it's a still image, this will be very quick. There we go. Now it's cut out, just like all the others. And again, we might not want... Considering the clip, we don't want this to be part of the pop-in. And so we can just recompose this once again. And now on top of this, we can use the pen tool. And for something like this, I would probably do the face. Simply because the suit is cut off right here. There we go. That looks a little goofy actually, but you get the idea. Alright. So now that we have our actual pop-outs, we can get to using the graphs and the effects to create the actual pop-in effect. Now, I don't always use the same graph for this, but the effects I add are always the same. So first off, we do invert, and then deep glow, a 1 or 2, does not matter which one you have. And then I do keyframes for radius and exposure on the deep glow, and blend with original on invert. Then I just go to the clips meet, set the blend to 100, and set both the radius and exposure to 0. Now you can press U on your keyboard to see all of the keyframes, and as you can see, you got this effect here. After that, I click S to open up the scale, and P to open up position, and then we can do Control, Alt, and Home, set the anchor point at the middle of the mask, and this is important for the scale that we'll be doing now. And now I want you to drag both of these keyframes to the end, like so. And then for the start here, we want to adjust the Y so the player isn't visible anymore. Like that, so they line up. And then you can do scale 20%. You can do whatever really, but I feel like 20% is fine. Do a quarter here for faster playback. So as you can see, we got the general idea so far. And then we can do highlight all of them just by holding down left click. And press F9 for an easy ease on all the layers, on all the keyframes rather. Now, I use a plugin for my graphs, you don't have to do that, but I use Flow. My general recommendation for especially scale and position would be to use a very fast graph. Now, there are graphs such as exponential that are very fast, but there are different ways to do this. It really depends on the song. For this one, for example, what I would probably do something like this. See, if I play this, it isn't really in sync. So what I would do here is move the layer just 2 frames. That's all I do. And then move all of these keyframes. And the way I did that is by highlighting all of them and then holding Alt and left click at the same time. And I feel like that creates a much smoother experience. Now there's multiple ways to do this, and I will show you a different sort of graph for the next one. And now for the second transition, we're going to be doing a slide transition with a speed graph instead of a value graph. We can start off by moving this 5 frames to the left, doing Control and the arrow key. Like so. Then we can copy all of these keyframes aside from the position and scale. Just paste straight onto that. And then we can do 10 frames to the right of this. Like so. Then hold down left alt and drag these keyframes back. Now we can add a position keyframe onto this, no scale this time, by pressing P on the keyboard and then checking that. Then we press U again. And then we go 5 frames to the right and put that there. And then we can choose if we want it from the left or right. I want mine from the left, so I'm just gonna drag this until the clip is sorta like that. And then highlight these, F9 for easy ease. Click here, make sure it's set to a speed graph, not value graph. And then just drag these in, highlight, hold shift, something like that. The actual movement is going to be very quick. Now again, these graphs will vary a bit depending on the song you're using, so keep that in mind for all of these, but I'd say that looks pretty good. Might want to adjust these keyframes a bit. Want to do that. I like to use speed graphs for that, so if you want to make it fade out a bit faster, you can highlight all of these and drag to the left, like so. That looks a bit better. And for these, it's very important. It's not as important for the other ones with scale, but for the slide ones, it's important that you activate motion blur by highlighting this. You can also do it on this one, like so. And then for the second one, we're going to be doing the same thing, just to the other side. So you can copy all of the keyframes aside from the position, place them there, move it 5 frames back. You can create a position keyframe 5 frames ahead, and then move this to the right. Now, if you have a plugin like Easy Copy, you can just copy this graph by doing this and then pasting it here. But if you don't, then you can just recreate it by again using the speed graph, highlighting both of these, and have it something like that. Now I forget to drag this all the way there. There we go, and then enable motion blur. That's what we got so far. Now for the third transition, I've decided to remove the head mask we had at the start, and I've instead kept the entire thing for a different transition. So we're going to be lining it up just like the other ones, and then making a new mask with the rounded rectangle tool. I'll pick this part maybe. And then again, we're going to be doing Control-Alt-Home, like so, to center the anchor point, and this is to make the scale look better. Let's do all of these keyframes from the first one, so everything but the position and scale. Copy onto this, and then we can copy the scale keyframes too. And then we can simply move this 2 frames back, just like with the first one. And then make sure it lines up like that. Since the keyframes don't line up for this one though, we can highlight all of them, hold left alt, and then just drag these to match. So here you have a transition from the bottom, where it comes up from out of the screen. Here you have from the sides, and here you have from the middle, or whatever you'd like to do. So I'll enable motion blur on all of those, and give you guys a watch. And yeah, there you have it. Now this is only a tutorial for the pop-out part. This will look a lot better with shakes and other effects, but these really are the only basics you'll need for the sort of pop-out transition. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial, then I'm very happy about that. This is the first tutorial I've ever done on this channel, or really ever, in terms of editing, so any feedback would be amazing. And thank you all for 5k subs on YouTube. It means a lot to me. And thank you all for 54k on TikTok too. That's insane. And also thank you all for 4k on Instagram, of course. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I hope you're having an amazing day. See ya.